Welcome back to 10-Minute Prophecy, where we go through the prophecies of Daniel and Revelation verse by verse in bite-sized chunks. Thank you for joining us again. We hope that this journey through Bible prophecy has been enlightening, whether you are new to prophecy or have studied prophecy in the past. As always, if you haven't seen the previous presentations, please watch them as each prophecy builds on each other. The link to our playlist is down in the description below. You will also find the video on the non-denominational biblical prophetic interpretation method that has proven itself over and over again in world events both past, present, and can be relied upon to understand the future. See the link in the description below. We will continue God's judgment against the Eastern Roman Empire and the sixth trumpet, which is the second woe. Here in verses 12 to 15 state, "One woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, Loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men." The first woe lasted from the rise of Islam until the end of the 5 months. Then it ended, and the second woe began. When the sixth angel sounded the trumpet, the command was given to remove the restraints that had limited the nation to merely tormenting people. Now their mission was expanded, allowing them to bring destruction to a third of humanity. This command came from the four horns of the golden altar, which is in the holy place of the heavenly sanctuary. Who are the four angels? The Ottoman Empire was made up of four main sultanates located in the region around the Euphrates River. These sultanates were based in Aleppo, Iconium, Damascus, and Baghdad. These are symbolized by the four angels. They had previously been restrained, but when God gave the command, they were set free. In 1449, the Greek Emperor John Palaeologus died without an heir, and his brother Constantine was next in line for the throne. However, he refused to take power without the approval of Amurath, the Turkish Sultan. Before calling himself emperor, Constantine sent ambassadors to request permission, which was granted. This event was not a forceful conquest by the Turks, but rather a voluntary surrender of Greek independence. By seeking the Sultan's approval, Constantine essentially admitted, "I cannot rule unless you allow it," recognizing the authority of the Turkish Empire. This historical event should be carefully considered alongside the prophecy mentioned earlier. The Greeks did not lose their empire through a violent attack. Instead, they willingly gave up their independence to the Turks. Their submission was clear when Constantine essentially admitted, "I cannot rule unless you allow it." The prophecy states that the four angels were released for a set period, an hour, a day, a month, and a year, to bring destruction to a third of humanity. This time frame adds up to 391 years and 15 days, during which the Ottoman Empire held power in Constantinople. In prophetic terms, a year represents 360 literal years, a month equals 30 years, a day is 1 year, and an hour is 1/24 of a year, or 15 days. Altogether, this period confirms the duration of Ottoman rule as foretold in prophecy. Although the Greeks had voluntarily submitted to the Turks, Constantinople still faced another fate. Amurath, the Sultan who allowed Constantine XIII to rule, soon died, and in 1451 Muhammad II took the throne. Determined to make Constantinople the centre of his empire, Muhammad II began preparations for its conquest. The siege began on April 6, 1453, and after weeks of intense battle, the city fell on May 16th. Constantine XIII was killed, marking the end of Byzantine rule. With its capture, Constantinople became the new capital of the Ottoman Empire. Interestingly, the weapons and warfare used in this siege were foretold in the Book of Revelation. Verses 16 and 17 state, "And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. Here, the 200,000, as translated into English, which in the Greek is translated myriads of myriads, is the same as the Turkish numbering method. The Turks measured in tomans, which means 10,000 people, or the number 10,000 or myriads, depending on context. This method of numbering is used here in this passage, describing the Turkish power, interestingly centuries before it came in existence. The breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone describes the Turkish army uniform, which was red, hyacinth, blue and yellow. The fire, smoke and brimstone coming out of the mouths refers to artillery and gunpowder. Historian Eliot describes how firearms played a key role in the Turkish conquest of Constantinople. He explains that it was the fire, smoke and sulphur, a reference to artillery and gunpowder, that led to the fall of the city and the end of the Byzantine Empire, or the Eastern Roman Empire. For over 1,100 years, Constantinople had withstood attacks from various groups, including the Goths, Huns, Persians and Ottoman Turks, thanks to its strong fortifications. However, Sultan Muhammad II was determined to break through. He asked a cannon maker who had defected to his side, "Can you build a cannon powerful enough to destroy Constantinople's walls?" The cannon was built in Adrianople, artillery was prepared and the siege began. Historian Edward Gibbon also highlights the significance of this new weapon in his account of the city's fall. He details how the invention of gunpowder changed warfare, describing how Turkish artillery unleashed a relentless bombardment. 14 batteries fired simultaneously at the city's weakest points, tearing through defences that had stood for centuries. Near the gate of St. Romanus, 4 towers were completely destroyed. As cannon fire rained down from all sides, the city was engulfed in smoke and chaos. Eventually, Ottoman forces rushed through the breaches, capturing Constantinople, overthrowing the Byzantine Empire and bringing an end to Greek rule. Verses 18 and 19 say, "By these 3 was the third part of men killed, by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt." These verses describe the deadly impact of a new form of warfare, gunpowder, firearms and cannons, which ultimately led to the fall of Constantinople and its capture by the Turks. In addition to the fire, smoke and brimstone coming from the horses' mouths, the passage also mentions power in their tails. Interestingly, the horse's tail was a well-known symbol of authority in the Turkish military, often used as a standard or banner. John's vision seems to depict horses breathing fire and smoke, while also having power in their tails, which symbolized the banners carried by Turkish cavalry. To an observer, these banners would appear to lead and direct their forces, emphasizing their power and dominance. The rule of the Ottoman Empire over the Greeks was prophesied to last 391 years and 15 days. Since it began on July 27, 1449, when the Greek emperor acknowledged he ruled only with the permission of the Turkish Sultan, it was expected to end in a similar way. According to this timeline, Ottoman independence would come to an end on August 11, 1840. And just as the Greek emperor had once voluntarily submitted to the Sultan, history shows that on this exact date, the Ottoman Sultan surrendered his independence to the control of European powers. So did this happen exactly as was prophesied? Let's look at when the Ottoman Empire lost its independence. In the years leading up to 1840, the Ottoman Sultan was engaged in a conflict with Mehmet Ali, the ruler of Egypt. Although foreign diplomats temporarily eased tensions in 1838, war resumed in 1839. In a decisive battle, the Sultan's army was completely defeated, and his naval fleet was seized by Mehmet and taken to Egypt. By August 1839, the once mighty Ottoman navy had been reduced to just 2 major warships and 3 frigates. Mehmet refused to return the captured fleet and even threatened to destroy it if European powers attempted to take it from him. As the situation worsened, it became clear that Mehmet was on the verge of seizing the Sultan's throne. To prevent this, England, Russia, Austria and Prussia intervened in 1840 to settle the crisis, effectively ending Ottoman independence. The Sultan agreed to let the major European powers intervene, effectively handing over control of the situation. A conference was held in London with Sheikh Effendi Beylikis representing the Ottoman Empire. During the meeting, an ultimatum was drafted for Mehmet Ali, the ruler of Egypt. Under this agreement, the Sultan would offer Mehmet the hereditary rule of Egypt, along with control of the region from the Gulf of Suez to the Lake of Tiberias, plus the province of Acre for life. In return, Mehmet had to withdraw from all other Ottoman territories he had occupied and return the captured Ottoman fleet. If he refused, the 4 European powers, England, Russia, Austria and Prussia, would step in and take whatever action they deemed necessary to enforce the agreement. As soon as the Sultan delivered the ultimatum to Mehmet Ali, control over the situation was effectively out of his hands and placed into the control of foreign powers. The Sultan sent Rifat Bey on a government steamer to Alexandria to present the ultimatum to Mehmet. It was officially handed over and acknowledged on August 11, 1840. That same day, the Sultan sent a letter to the ambassadors of the 4 European powers, asking what would happen if Mehmet refused the terms. Their response reassured him that they had already planned for any possible outcome, and he had nothing to worry about. But at that moment, Ottoman independence was over. The once powerful empire was now under the control of England, Russia, Austria and Prussia, existing only by their permission. This event fulfilled the prophecy exactly as predicted. Since 1838, when this prophecy was first calculated, many had been eagerly watching for its fulfillment on August 11, 1840. When it happened precisely as foretold, it confirmed the accuracy of the prophecy and gave a powerful boost to the growing Advent movement, which was beginning to gain worldwide attention. Finally, verses 20 and 21 state, And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. God wants people to pay attention to his judgments and learn from them, but they are often slow to understand and recognize his guidance. The events of the sixth trumpet, known as the second woe, brought great suffering, yet they did not lead to any moral or spiritual change. Those who survived failed to take the warning seriously. The Saracens and Turks were unleashed as a judgment against an unfaithful Christendom. Yet, despite the suffering they endured, people did not learn the lesson God intended. This concludes our time together. Thank you for joining us. We hope you have enjoyed this nugget of prophecy. Join us next time as we start Revelation 10. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We look forward to seeing you again soon.